So neither of us had ever even been in an RV. We'd never slept in one. We'd never traveled in one. We had no idea how to clean one, how to take care of one, how to attach it to a truck. Zero. None. No experience.
You are listening to Feminine Will, powered by Sweatseat. I'm Andrea McKee. This is a show about women who choose athleticism, adventure, and bravery every day. Thanks for listening. Hey, and welcome back to Feminine Will. I am so excited for today's episode because Amanda came on the show to tell us about her experience with her family in an RV for a year. Now, before we hit on that story, I want to just tell you about some books I've been reading because I'm like so loving these books. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's all about living a creative life. And I love the way she describes things, so highly recommend that book. I've also been reading The Magnolia Story by Chip and Joanna Gaines. Love it. And have you guys heard of The Four Agreements? Because I'm reading that one right now, too. It's a book by Don Miguel Ruiz. I've read it a long time ago. It's a book I have in my personal library, and I'm glad I do because I love it. Highly recommend that one as well. If you still need a face mask, come on over to sweatseat.com, SWETSEAT.com. They are $10 each on the website. You guys, I'm really excited because Sweatseat is about to launch a neon line and a couple more designs for straps. I've already gotten quite a bit of feedback and people are really excited about the new designs. So head over to the website, sweatseat.com, and sign up on the mailing list with your email so that you get updates on when the new products are available, what colors they will be in, and what kind of deals you can get. That is the best way to actually find out that information. That said, let's get started. How have you been adjusting to COVID-19 life?
So my family loves it, actually, the adjustments. I love my kids not being in school. I love having extra time with them, being able to do whatever we want, whenever we want.
Awesome.
Not being strapped by a schedule is fabulous for me. That being said, I'm a stay-at-home mother. That's my full-time job. So I have less time for myself, but I have more time for my children. And it's not affecting me like it might be affecting other mothers.
Cool. Well, that's great. Like, are there certain things that you do with your kids that you feel like really help kind of manage the homeschooling routine, manage, getting their work done? Because I feel like that's kind of a problem with a lot of people. They're like, how do I help my kid get the work done?
Well, so I have two, as you know, and they're still in low grades, kindergarten and first grade. So work is simple. It's not a lot of time. And we do it first thing in the morning. We are always done by noon. If we're not done by noon, it's not getting done. Because we lose attention, we start to struggle, right? Even 1 to 2 hours tops, and we've done all the extracurriculars, all the fun stuff that is recommended.
Yeah.
And we're done.
And you have kindergarten and first grade.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Amanda and I are friends, and we've known each other since we both moved here in Georgia about a year ago, like weeks apart from each other. And so I couldn't wait to get her on the show to like talk more about her year-long adventure in RV life. But I just wanted to kind of get some updates on COVID-19 life because this new normal, it's very different for a lot of people, and it's a struggle for a lot of people. So I kind of wanted to see if she had any suggestions or just quick tidbits of things she loves doing that helps make life a little more simple.
So for us, we do school first thing in the morning. We go outside. We make sure we have at least an hour minimum of outside time every single day. My kids cook together with me a lot more because they're home a lot more. And we also do not turn on the television until maybe 3 p.m. If it's before 3, the day goes downhill.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and when you say television, you also mean like iPad.
Correct.
Yeah.
Other than school.
Right,
Because
right.
now school being digital is
It's-
computers and
yep.
iPads and tablets and this, that, and the other thing. But relaxing, fun, cartoon-like television, Octonauts,
Yeah.
for the most part, doesn't come on until the afternoon. And if it does come on, it's very minimal because that just doesn't help.
Yeah.
It really distracts children more, in my opinion. It helps that it makes it harder for them to focus. And I would rather them do lots of other things, a
Yeah.
plethora of other things.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that because I feel like that's just something, I don't know, that other people want to hear about. Okay. So give us a little bit of background because you're going to talk about your year in RV life and I cannot wait to get more of the details because I know kind of like the surface, but tell us what led up to that year in RV life. And that was just the year before you got here to Georgia, which was like a year ago.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll tell everyone. I am married to my husband, Dan. We have 2 children, Daniel and Rosie. We've been married for 14 years this year. And
Congrats.
thanks. We have always loved going places and doing things. And I was raised in a home. We went places, but we never moved. And my mom always said that I was a gypsy at heart and that my dad always said I had ants in my pants because I couldn't sit still. But I never moved my whole life. Came home from college to the same house I was born in.
And you grew up in Vegas.
Yes, in Las Vegas. And so when we got married, I told my husband we had to live in Las Vegas if he wanted to marry me. So we lived in Las Vegas. Then we ended up moving to Utah. We moved kind of all around the West Coast for the first 5-ish years of our marriage. When we moved to Utah, I told him 5 years tops. We did 6. Towards the end of that, I really had started seeing the downside of home ownership. We'd owned a lot of houses at that point in a lot of different cities, in a couple of different states. And I didn't like spending my weekend mowing the lawn and raking the leaves, and that wasn't fun for us. And we decided probably about 2016 that we were going to travel. We just didn't know how yet. We didn't know if we were going to have more kids. At that time, Rosie was 2 in 2016, and I was only 32. And I thought, I have lots more childbearing years. Am I going to have any more children? And I'd read some books, started wanting to downsize. We had a really big house, too big for me. My idea of really big, I guess, and other people's are probably different, but too big for me. And we really wanted to downsize. We had read about tiny houses, and we thought we're going to build a tiny house.
And how big was your house at that time?
So 1780 up and 1780 down. My father lived in the basement, so we never went down to the basement other than maybe for dinner or something. So we lived in 1780 upstairs. It felt huge to me. An enormous amount to clean. And you're laughing because you now know all of my life story about houses. But it felt big. And we looked at a tiny house, and there was no place in Heber where we were living. Heber is in Utah. No place that we could build a tiny house. Their minimum square footage was 800. And we looked at land. We looked at land out in the boondocks. We looked at land lots of different places. Most cities and counties have square footage minimums. So we couldn't build a tiny house. And we thought, well, I guess maybe we don't want to stay here. So then we started thinking tiny house on wheels so that we could move it. And then we looked at a tiny house on wheels and the weight and all of the associated things with a tiny house on wheels and decided that that wasn't going to work. So we started looking at RVs. And then we spent about a year looking at different kinds of RVs. Were we going to do, a diesel pusher? Were we going to do a regular gas RV that we drive? Were we going to do a trailer, a fifth wheel? What were we going to do?
Did you ever think of like a van?
No.
Okay.
The reason we never thought of a van is because we have 2 children. And one of the things that I told my husband that was important to me is that they had their own space. So we wanted to make sure that whatever RV we chose had a separate room for them that they could shut their door and have their own space completely apart from the family. So we found an RV that was wonderful, perfect kitchen, living room in the middle, children's room in the backside with a door and a pop out. 2 beds, bunk beds, was perfect. Called a bunkhouse, right? Standard.
Oh, nice. Is that what it's called?
It's called a bunkhouse. So we found a bunkhouse that was perfect for us. And then the master's up in the front, in the hitch part, and the restroom is up there. So we picked it out, and we were anxious. And that was when we said, we're just going to do it. We're going to go for it.
You were anxious in like an eager kind of way, or anxious as in like I don't know if we can do this kind of way?
Both.
Okay.
So neither of us had ever even been in an RV. We'd never slept in one. We'd never traveled in one.
Yeah.
We had no idea how to clean one, how to take care of one, how to attach it to a truck. Actual doing it. 0. None.
Yeah.
No experience. And it's totally different than, fixing the toilet in your house, fixing the toilet in your RV. Very different situation. So we just said, we're going to go for it. We put our house on the market. It sold in 4 days. And our timeline moved up real quick because we thought.
Did you have the RV at this point?
No. So we had picked it out, but we hadn't purchased it. And we said, okay, it's probably going to take 2 or 3 months to sell our house minimum. Just because it's kind of an expensive house. No. 4 showings, 4 days, sold.
Nice.
Under contract.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden the clock is ticking, right? You have 6 weeks to move. So we purchased the RV. And that is a whole mess. But we got it to our house and started moving in. And at that point, the nervousness was still there, obviously, because we'd never used it. But at that point, we were just ready. We're just ready to go.
So what was the mess? Can you give us, you don't have to go to like all the details, but give us an idea of what was a mess about it.
So we purchased an RV. We left it on the lot for about 2 or 3 weeks. They were going to get it all ready, cleaned up and ready, and we would come. Then they would give us the tour and basically show us how to use everything. Well, we arrived. We got a babysitter. It was about a 4 to 5 hour ordeal. An hour to drive there, 2 to 3 hours for them to show us everything, and an hour to drive back. We got there. They were showing us things, how to do this, what all the plugs and what everything was. They had sold us the wrong RV. So they had written down the wrong VIN number, basically, and prepped everything ready for the wrong RV. And we had been making payments and insured the wrong RV.
Oh, no.
So it took them a few days. I mean, they were very gracious, and they did everything that they could have done as quick as they could because they knew we were on a timeline at that point. And they got it delivered to our house, which was very helpful.
Yeah.
However, you don't have the same sort of hookups that they would have at their shop to show you how everything works at your house.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no power when it's sitting on the street. There's no water when it's sitting on the street other than what's already in the RV. So we didn't get that same tour that you would normally get. So we were even more nervous because we'd never done this.
Yeah.
And it is a little scary. And my husband had never really driven a truck with a fifth wheel attached until the day that we pulled out of our driveway with it.
Wow. That's a big deal.
And I had never driven one until the next day when I had to drive it because he was tired. So it was a big adjustment for us.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of going from a full-size house with all the things of a house to approximately 270 square feet. We sold almost everything and we hit the road. And we were thrilled. We were so excited. But it was still a little nerve-wracking, right?
Okay. Yeah, totally. Well, okay. I kind of, don't feel like you have to give these numbers, but I think it'd be interesting and helpful. You could give us a range if you wish, as to like how much did this truck and RV cost up front? Like you sold your house,
yes,
and obviously you're going to be making a big purchase for starting your new year on the road. What does that look like cost-wise?
So we got a used Ford F-250 that was approximately somewhere in the late 30s.
Okay.
Very low mileage, and we were concerned about it being good because we didn't want to have trouble with the truck.
Okay.
So we made sure to get a fairly new one.
Okay. And when you say late 30s, you mean upper 30s, 30K price range. Yep.
Sorry. Upper 30K price range. Yeah. Lower 40s, upper 30s. I'm not positive. And then the RV, I want to say was somewhere in the 28,000 range.
Okay.
We did buy that brand new, which if I had it to do over, I would not buy it brand new. One of the apparently things of RV living is the first year there's always a major issue. And I didn't know that, but we got the major issue in the first year, just like pretty much everyone else does. And then you get the kinks worked out. So for anyone who's considering RV living, buy a used one.
Kind of like a phone, right? They get all the kinks worked out, system updates and so forth within the first year. And
right. And I mean, here's the thing about RVs. They are lightweight. They are not meant to be like your house, right? It shakes, it moves. Things are not made as strong as they are in a home. And when you're jumping all around on the road, going 70 miles an hour for miles and miles, things shake and things break. And, you know, day one, the door fell off of one of our kitchen cabinets. Like, I pulled it to open it and it just fell off. And I was like,
you're like, I just paid this money for that.
Day one, huh? Come on, guys. You know, and that's a silly, simple thing.
Yeah.
Lots of other things were worse. But nonetheless, like the door fell off on day one.
Yeah.
So, silly
Good
things.
to know. Mm-hmm. So, what was your plan?
Good question. So the plan was 2 to 3 years living in the RV. And we would travel around every state, stay about a month, and decide where we wanted to go next. And that was the initial, like, we're going to stay on the road for 2 to 3 years. We're going to see everything that we want to see, and we're going to take our time, and we're not going to be rushed. And in order to do that, my husband got permission from his job to work remotely for a year initially. And one thing that I didn't know going in was that the year was probably going to be it. I was under the impression that it was a year, and if it's okay and everything's going fine, then we can do 2 or 3.
And so that's a hard pill to swallow when you find out, oh, actually it's just 1 year.
It's
a hard year stop. Yeah.
It was a hard stop. Yeah.
Okay.
And we had planned to do a month in each place. And then we were about 6 or 7 months in, and we got the, hey, we want you back in the office in 4 or 5 months. And I panicked because I loved it. And we had I'd felt like we'd hardly done anything. Now we'd done a ton. It's
Which
not like we had hardly done anything. But I felt like we had so much more time and so many more things that we wanted to do. And all of a sudden we had to book it. So we got the work situation worked out. We also own some businesses in Utah, which you're aware of. And so we had to get that worked out so that we didn't have to be there and that we didn't have to do anything. So we ended up selling some property. We ended up giving control of our businesses mostly to a general manager. We have an attorney that runs a lot of, just everyday things. But we had to get all that worked out. And then establishing internet on the road was actually way bigger of a challenge than we thought. Because my husband, for his work, had to have internet.
Yeah.
And Wi-Fi that's spotty that works here and there isn't going to do it, right?
Yeah, and ideally, if you're traveling 4 to 5 hours somewhere, it'd be nice to have internet along the way and get some work done.
Yeah. And so we ended up thinking, okay, we're going to stay in a place for a month, and then we're going to travel to the next place, stay for a month, travel to the next place, stay for a month. And we did that at the beginning. Towards the end, we had to pick up speed a little. And so we did that. But getting going was probably the biggest challenge besides stopping because I didn't want to stop.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready, and I'm still not.
Well, for my sake, I'm glad that year was only a year, but I do hope you get a chance to do it again.
Thanks.
Or at least that you get a chance to do something like that, which we will get into later on. But I wanted to ask you what the route was that you took.
Okay. So, we started in Heber City, Utah, which is on the back of the Wasatch Mountains, on the east side of Salt Lake City. That's where we started. We drove west across Utah to Reno. Went from Reno over to Northern California, and then we started kind of zigzagging down California. We actually ended up staying in a small town called Auburn, north of Sacramento. My dad lives there. We stayed there for about 6 or 7 weeks to make sure that we knew what we were doing. And my dad is the jack of all trades, knows how to do everything kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we felt comfortable learning with him close, right? So we started there to get our bearings. And then we headed zigzag down California. So we hit Yosemite. Where is that place called? I can't think. Pismo Beach, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the city is. I can't think of it. Down to San Diego, and then we went over to Nevada, Las Vegas. I'm from Las Vegas, like you'd said, and so we wanted to see my family. My mom and my aunt still live there, so we stopped there. We were actually very blessed. A friend of ours let us stay on their property in Las Vegas, so that was wonderful. We stayed at their house, parked the RV there. They had all the hookups. And we were able to get the needed repairs done. So we started to have our major electrical failure in just before San Diego, in the city that I can't think of. And we had emergency maintenance done there. And then we went to San Diego and had some like minor maintenance done. We kind of just sat there in San Diego for a month. And then in Vegas, the plan was to get the RV into the shop to get repaired, because it was an electrical failure and it was dangerous. So we had to get it in, but you can't get an RV into a shop in less than a month usually. And even a month was stretching it. So we had scheduled it so that we would get to Las Vegas and be able to drop the RV off for repair. So we got there, dropped the RV off for repair, stayed with my friends, and then decided, hey, the RV is going to be in the shop for a month. We're not going to just sit around all of December. So we hopped on a plane and went to Hawaii for a month.
What?
Super fun, right? So I always say a part of our RV adventure included Hawaii, because it did.
On a plane.
Just on a plane. Right? So a little different. But we went to Hawaii. When we came back, the RV was done. We picked it up. We stayed in Nevada for maybe 2 more weeks so that we could do Death Valley and some of the other sites around Nevada. And then we started heading east. So we hit Arizona, New Mexico. Then we went across to Texas, but you know how large Texas is, right? So we ended up staying in, I want to say Amarillo, if my memory serves me. And then we went up to Oklahoma City, and then we kind of did the little zigzag down Texas. Then we ended up in Texas about a month, just different parts, which was kind of the plan anyway, right? Texas is one of the bigger ones. See how many things you can see.
Yeah.
Right? And then we went over to Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and we stopped here in Georgia.
Wow, that's quite a trip.
So super awesome.
So I have to ask, like, how often were you driving to the next destination?
So the first few months, until about end of January-ish, we traveled once a month.
Okay, so that's it.
Yeah, one Saturday we would travel for 5-6 hours, and that was it. Once we hit January, February, when Dan's job said, hey, we want you back, then we had to start picking up our speed. So then we started staying about a week to 2 weeks in places and would travel either every weekend or every other weekend.
Which is why you hit so many places once you got to Texas.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's very tiring to take up and put down often. If you're taking up and putting down once a month, it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And we did get way faster. In the beginning, it took us 2 hours to set up, to get situated, to get level, to get everything balanced and how it's supposed to be. By the time we got to Georgia, we could get set up and took down in 15 minutes.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
Because I knew what to do, so I could do certain things. Dan could do certain things. I mean, the black water tank is the grossest.
Yeah.
And it has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you can figure out the order to do things
Yeah.
and what makes the most sense,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to still be able to use the water and the electricity until you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's hot or cold or a plethora of other things, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you had to kind of figure out what was the best thing. Where do you put, at what point do you put everything away? Because
Mhm.
everything has to go inside of a cabinet, right? Your
Yeah.
toaster that's sitting up on your counter has to go inside of a cabinet for travel. So does your dish soap or,
Mhm. Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
right? Everything has to be put away in order to travel.
What kind of experience was it like going to your different destinations? Were you like camping at RV parks? Were you camping at, you said you stayed with some family, but when you weren't with family, were you looking for RV parks? Did you have to have memberships to that? Like, what's that like? Because I've heard different things.
Great question. A little bit of everything. So we do have memberships to a couple places. Because we purchased an RV new, we received a Good Sam membership. So that gives you discounts at certain RV parks. We joined KOA, gives you certain discounts at KOAs. Honestly, that was one of the hardest things when you're moving frequently, is finding a place to stay and finding a place that can house you for the time that you want to be there, or being flexible enough to say, okay, well then we'll come in on Wednesday. How long can you hold us? And so I actually spent a lot of time, probably I would say at least 5 to 10 hours a week, making sure we had accommodations when we were moving.
Quite a bit.
Yes, it's time consuming, because most of these sites don't have a way to do it online.
There's no clear way of saying, okay, this place has availability for a month. This place has availability for 2 weeks.
And most of the time, even if the online says it does, you still have to call to confirm, because
people get there.
RVs are very flexible, right?
And a lot of the population doesn't really use a lot of online, probably. Maybe? I don't know. Is it mixed?
I don't know. That's a good question that I don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
We felt like everybody pretty much used the Wi-Fi that was available at RV parks.
Yeah, okay.
But how RV parks move people around, depending on some, for example, have full-time RVers in a certain spot, and others have, nightly in some spots and weekly in other spots. And so, for example, when we were in San Diego, we got to stay in the full-time RVer spots. So we got a spot. We were there for a month. We got a spot with all these other people that lived there full-time, that were full-time RVers.
Full-time? Like for the rest, that's their plan?
That's where they live. They have a contract. They live there for a year or for 6 months or whatever.
Wow.
And so we were in the full-time section instead of in the, hey, we're only staying for a few weeks or a few days sections. Once you're over a month, they put us in the full-time section.
So you met some really interesting people.
Yes, because that's where
with
we found
interesting stories.
Yes, and that's where we found kids that were there, that knew the lay of the land, that homeschooled, that, did all of these things and gave us wonderful ideas of where to go and what to do, because they live there.
Yeah.
That's their home.
Yeah.
Right? Where we were just visitors. We got long-term visitor rights.
Yeah. So what was a typical day like for you guys? I mean, I'm sure it varied all the time depending on where you were and what you were doing. I would imagine a lot of sightseeing, just Googling what's in the area and going to it.
Yes. So I did spend a lot of time also, what are we going to do? Usually I tried to plan those things out at least to a degree before we got to the place, so that I wasn't spending lots and lots of time deciding where to go. But I spent a lot of time online. Where's the best places to eat? Where's the best places to go? What tourist attractions do we want to see? What natural attractions do we want to see? We did a lot of hiking, tons. We probably did 50 or 60 hikes as a family or as mom and kids in that few months that we were gone.
Nice.
And so we always made it a point to do lots of outdoors, especially when we were in these beautiful places that there's, no reason not to get outside.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time outside, and RVing, that's very common, right? Most people are not sitting inside their hot, stuffy RV all day long. They're outside playing games, bikes, kicking balls, running around, climbing things,
Yeah.
right? Just playing outside
Yeah.
and exploring outside. We did school. When I say we did school lightly. So that year, Daniel was in kindergarten, and we left from Utah knowing that kindergarten is not required in Utah. So I didn't really stress about school, but I did make it a point to do about an hour a day. We did some reading, we did some writing, we did some math, and we did some history every day, with some exceptions, obviously. But for the most part, we did a little bit of school, and then we would do kind of like we do now, outdoors in the afternoon, playing in the afternoon. My kids do gymnastics, so in a lot of places, we tried to find classes that would allow us to drop in for a month. I also do gymnastics. So I like to find a place that would let me come as an adult and do gymnastics for a month and not require some big long membership.
Yeah.
And lots of places did. You just have to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we spent a lot of time in the pool, a lot of time outside, a lot of time meeting people and hanging out with people.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I bet you made some really good friends.
Super good friends.
People that you still stay in touch with?
Yes.
Ah.
And people from all over the world.
Yeah.
That's what's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is people from everywhere and that have done all sorts of things.
Yes.
That just also like to be nomads.
That's so great. What was it like with traveling around? Did you ever kind of think like this is my favorite place, or this is a place I want to come back to and live, or was it just, what was it like?
Yes. Pretty much every place had one of those, I love this.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I travel.
Right? I love this place. Now, there was one park that stands out to me,
Okay.
and one city that stands out to me, as ones that we just had a blast at.
Just magical.
Yes. So this park is one in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and my family on my mom's side's actually lived in Lake Charles for years. So we went there, and my intention was to do some family history, go to the cemetery, check out all the family stuff there. And so we did that. We met some, I don't know really who they are, like great aunts, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's distant relative, my distant relative on somebody's line, right?
Yeah.
But we met some old ladies and got to talk with them and hear their stories about the old country and just really neat things in Lake Charles. But this RV park, which of course I can't remember the name because whatever, it was awesome. And I had read a review that said, ask the gentleman for, when you call to make a reservation, ask him for the slot on the lake. And I thought, ooh, it's called Big Lake RV Park. And I'm going to put a plug because I love it.
Cool.
But it's a small RV park kind of out there a little bit from the city. And we drove out to it. And I said, sure, let me have, do you happen to have the slot on the lake? Just thinking, I don't know, is this reviewer crazy? He goes, oh, yeah, I have it open. Would you like it? Yes, please. And I had no idea that it was literally the RV pad and the lake. So like the RV pad stopped right here and the lake was where you are. And we could sit on the dock that was right there and fish. And
could you jump in it and swim?
We didn't jump in it and swim. I don't know if you could. It was winter.
Okay.
So it was
got it.
Still kind of chilly, even though it was nice. Too cold to swim.
Okay.
But it was gorgeous. The most beautiful sunsets, the birds, the animals coming around. Oh, we couldn't swim because there were crocodiles or alligators. I can't remember.
That's a problem.
Alligators, I think.
Yeah, that'll keep you out of the water.
I think they said don't swim.
Okay.
Now that you're
good job
mentioning
for following that rule. You're alive to tell the story.
I'm alive. Yes. But it was also too cold. But that RV park, it was quiet. It was far enough out there. It was small enough. And you had just this gorgeous view of the lake that was not duplicated anywhere else, even though we stayed at plenty of RV parks with lakes. And then, what was the second thing you asked me?
And then you were going to say another place that you came across.
Oh, the city. The city that we loved. So then Southern Alabama, which everyone laughs at me when I say we loved staying in Summerdale, Alabama. I had never been to Alabama. I had no clue what Alabama was going to be like. And we stayed at this RV park in Summerdale. And then we kind of traveled around. We did like the airboating thing where you look at the alligators in real life on the little airboat. I don't know if you've been on one of those.
Yeah, we did it. We
so
did it.
fun,
Yep.
right?
It was really fun. We saw like 30 alligators.
Yes,
Yeah,
so fun. I
it's
love
legit.
that. And then we found this alligator farm, which sounds like a terrible thing, but the gentleman that owns it actually rescues alligators that are a nuisance. So he's a nuisance alligator rescuer. But he takes them to his farm or it's called Alligator Alley. He takes them there and then he cares for them. And so he has, I don't even have a clue how many, 1 trillion alligators. It seemed like alligators everywhere. And he does shows and you can feed them and you can hold them and you can touch them. And
wow.
It
You
was-
can hold them and touch them?
yes, I know. Isn't that
And you
amazing?
weren't scared to do that?
No. Daniel and Rosie, and we all have pictures of us holding
Whoa.
alligators.
Okay,
I
need
mean,
to
they're
see those
little,
pics. Yeah.
but amazing. And we met this man, the owner, and my kids, I don't know, you know them. They're very charismatic
Yes.
and they love people and people love them.
Yes.
And he liked them. And you could
Aw.
tell.
Yeah.
And he was giving them extra food to feed to the alligator. Go over there and do this. Go throw it at that one. He'll respond. He's sleeping. Don't bother him. Right? So we kind of felt like we got the inside tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because we spent 3 or 4 hours there. We didn't have like
you didn't have anywhere to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have a time limit.
Yeah.
And so we took our time. But we went to Gulf Shores State Park, which is down in southern Alabama, that we loved. Same thing. Just, I don't know what it was about that place, but it was magical for us.
Yeah. Ah, what a cool story.
Love it.
Okay, so to kind of wrap up the idea of like cost, because I think for me, it's something that I wonder about. Like, oh, if I did something like this, how much would it cost me for the year? Like food, outings, gas, KOA, the whole shebang, right? And you sold your house. So you had some money that you could spend toward doing something like this. And he was working still. So even if you hadn't sold your house, would it have been something that you could have still done?
Yes, definitely. So RV living is not as cheap as you would like it to be. We would all like it to be. But some places are very affordable. So I'll give you some ranges. For example, if you stay in a state park and you happen to get a month-long stay at a state park, you're going to pay maybe $250, $300 a month at some of them. When you stay in San Diego, anywhere, it was $1,100, and that was the cheapest place we could find
Okay.
for the month. Now, if you pay by the week, it's a lot more. If you pay by the day, it's probably double, right? So the longer you stay, the cheaper it becomes. So we actually spent a lot less at the beginning than we did at the end on accommodations, right? But also you often get discounts for weekly rates and things. So we always try to stay a week if you can. Food costs for us were probably about the same, maybe a little less just because you have less storage space. So I'm a firm believer in going to the grocery store one time a week. And
We are too.
so we go one time and you make it work.
Yep.
And so cost wise, the food was
You
about
save a
the
lot
same.
of money that way.
Yes, but
Yeah.
nothing really changed from our house in that regard, right? Utilities and things are significantly cheaper, obviously, in an RV than in a house. And a lot of times, depending on the RV park, the utilities are included. Sometimes
Okay.
they're not. Sometimes you have to pay extra. But net, like we sold everything, we bought the new stuff, and then we resold it. So at the end, we sold the trailer or the RV and the truck. We ended up spending about $13,000 for the year.
Are you kidding me? That's it?
No. I mean, assuming you take into consideration that we resold everything when we were done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Now, we spend way more in a house, right?
Yeah.
You have a lot more expenses. You have a lot more things.
Yeah.
But we also allowed ourselves because we were spending so much less on our house,
Mm-hmm.
we allowed ourselves to spend a lot more
On outings.
Uh-huh. You know, we went to SeaWorld.
Yeah.
I wouldn't on like a random Tuesday, right? We're like, oh, we should go to SeaWorld today.
Yeah.
That's not something we would normally do at, $89 a ticket, however much it costs,
Yeah.
right? But we were able to do that because we were efficient in our spending and we didn't really, a lot of people are going to set a budget and stick to it and do all of those things. And we didn't really do that because we knew it would be less than our costs in Utah in our house.
Yeah.
And it was significantly less.
Yeah.
But some things just weren't. And, one thing I didn't mention that I feel that this is the right time for, I don't know why. One thing that we encountered that was a challenge with just RV living as a whole
Yeah.
was running out of propane in the middle of the night.
Oh.
And waking
And
up
if it was winter?
and being cold. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Waking up and being cold. And you know me, I don't do well cold. I'm freezing right now. My hands are ice cubes just because I'm always cold.
Yes. Yes.
And that was the worst. Other than like major malfunctions and just waking up and it being cold and knowing that it's 7:00 and nothing is going to open where you can buy propane for 2 or 3 more hours.
Yeah. So did you guys like huddle into the truck and turn the heater on full blast?
Huddled together in the bed and just
yes,
tried to keep warm and
yes.
watch TV or a movie until it got done. I know you didn't ask about that, but
No, I love that. No, that was
goodness.
something I actually had it here in my notes. Like, what were the winters like?
Oh.
And I like hearing the challenges that come up because I think those are really cool things that you're thinking like. Can you have like a spare propane tank? Like, can you? How do you avoid that situation? Can you avoid it?
Yes, you could. So we had 2 propane tanks in ours, and they're the 2, I don't know, 20 gallons. I don't know how many. Anyway, the regular size ones, they're like this big. We had 2 of
5
them.
gallon, I think.
And there's a little nozzle on it that it flips to the other side when that one's out. But when you're not checking on it, you're not seeing it flip. There's no buzzer or something, right? There's nothing that tells you, hey, by the way, one tank is out.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of a pain to take the tanks out. So you kind of want to wait until they're both empty and just fill them at the same time. And so we would always wait.
Yeah.
And pray. And then we were cold.
Yeah.
But, it's funny that you asked about winter because we were definitely not planning on wintering. It was a winterized RV. It was built, quote unquote, to withstand a winter. But we got to Oklahoma City and it was some sort of fluke. They didn't want us to stay because there was freezing rain and everything froze. The pipe in the ground at the RV park froze and we had no water for 2 days. It was so cold.
What did you do about that? Just go to the store and buy gallons of water?
So we had tank water. So if are you familiar with an RV in that there's a holding tank and you can hold water in it?
Yes.
But you don't want to hold when you travel, right?
Okay.
Because it's really heavy. So
that makes sense.
we never kept water in our holding tank, like large quantities of it, because we didn't want to haul it around and didn't want to have to empty it. It's wasteful.
Yeah,
right?
that makes sense.
So we ended up we did have like a tank of water or a half a tank. So we were fine. And they had the RV park that we were at there was like right next to a Motel 6 or something. And they actually let us go in and get water and ice and stuff inside of there. But it was freezing. And the whole outside of the RV, like you could hardly even open the door because it was frozen shut. And it had been freezing rain and hail and the streets, like they were telling people, stay home, don't go out. The roads were super slippery. And we've lived in cold places. But an RV where the walls are like paper thin, it was cold.
Oh, yeah.
It was really, really cold. And cold was my biggest challenge for sure.
Yeah.
I can't think of really, other than we had the major electrical failure, which caused a lot of problems.
Was it expensive too?
No, because it's under warranty.
Oh, good.
So
great.
It's just the time, right? It's a lot of time trying to get things to work. And because it was an electrical failure, part of the problem is we couldn't move the RV. because we couldn't raise it up and put it down to put it on the truck. So even if we wanted to move it, they wanted us to bring it to the shop. And I said, well, I can't, right?
Yeah.
It won't move.
Yeah.
It's literally, there's no power. So our neutral line burned. It literally burned out from the back all the way up the line. So it burned out everything on the line.
Wow.
It burned out the compressor. I don't even know what things are called anymore. I've put that out of my mind. But it burned up everything. We had to have everything replaced. And it was such a nightmare. But we weren't hurt. It could have blown, right? There's a lot of things that could have caught fire. There's a lot of things that could have happened that didn't. So we were blessed in that way that, it was a smooth problem.
Yeah.
But at the time, it felt so major.
Yes.
Right? Having no electricity and then having no water and having no heat. And
yep.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah. So do you have any future plans you want to share with people about like what you hope or envision for your own future in terms of like anything that relates to your RV experience?
Yeah. So the RV really helped us focus on what we wanted, how we wanted to spend our time, how we wanted to spend our money. And we've very much downsized still, right? We continue to try to minimize our consumerism and try to only have the things that we use and need, and not to have excess. So the RV really put that in perspective for us and has made it so that we can look forward to more travel. So we do intend at some point to do the rest of the United States. Whether it's in an RV or not, we don't know. But we do intend to finish that project because it was just so awesome. And we also want to do international travel. We actually had a month-long trip to Italy planned for next month. Currently still planned, but probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
We still have the airline tickets, but it's you never know.
Right.
It's a day-by-day thing.
Day by day.
We haven't canceled it.
Yeah.
Just because I'm holding out hope. But the hope is going downhill that's actually going to happen. But we do want to do international travel. My husband has applied for international jobs in the past and will continue to as they come available.
Yeah.
But it's really just for us opportunity. And the company he works for now has been wonderful. They've been very accommodating, and we're lucky that they allowed us to choose whether we wanted to come to Georgia or to Connecticut.
Cool.
And so we chose Georgia. Sight unseen, both places, it didn't matter to me, right?
Yeah.
We just picked Georgia. And they've been great to him. And so there's that, do you try to stay? Do you try to go? Do you try to work remote? The thing about COVID-19 is it's helping companies to realize that remote work is possible.
Yeah.
Especially some professions, right? And some things it's much more possible than others. And my husband proved that he could do it for a year.
Yeah.
That's not the norm. Right. And so as this extends longer, it's showing, but it is really showing large companies that don't want to necessarily move with the times as quickly as they might should. It's showing them that it's possible.
Yeah.
And how much flexibility that we really have as humans.
Yeah.
Right? We have so many possibilities and so many things. So we're just hoping that as the future progresses that we'll be able to travel more and get moving, because that's just us. We're just ready to go always.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you, the kind of the final roundup question that I wanted to ask was, now I understand that we are in a very unique time with COVID-19. So a lot of things are put on pause and up in the air for when things are going to kind of go back to a place where we can adventure. But there are a lot of things that people can still do to adventure. What would you say to somebody who was, just kind of thinking, there's this thing I've been wanting to do for a long time and I just haven't done it. I've wanted to do X, Y, Z. I've wanted to go on an RV, year-long RV trip or see what it was like living in a van, or I wanted to try this. What would you say to them?
Do it. The sooner you do it, the better. We really struggled as to know when to do it, right? Everyone says as your kids get older, you're not going to be able to stop, or you're not going to be able to move so much. You're going to want to stay in one place. They're going to have friends. And while all those things are true, they make friends. They make friends everywhere they go. These little children have friends everywhere, right? They're at no loss for friends. They're at no loss for being able to make friends. And we decided if we didn't do it then, it might not get done. And so you want to run a marathon? Do it. You want to go on an adventure? Do it. You want to go hiking in your neighborhood? Do it now. Like, don't wait. Just do it.
There you have it. My interview with Amanda Weischer, an amazing friend of mine, incredible person. And I thought I'd just let you know that she does keep all of her accounts private, so you won't be able to go follow her on Facebook or Instagram. And fun fact, she actually just finished her first marathon. She'd been training for a marathon for a few months, and due to COVID-19, it canceled. So what did she do? She planned her own marathon and invited people to come. While social distancing, there were people at various corners and stops of her marathon cheering her on. And then other people who knew that she was coming because they got wind from other people that she was doing this. They would come down and be like, "Are you Amanda?" and just cheer. And it was so, so sweet. It really is such a beautiful thing to see humanity just cheer for each other. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, I share my story about how I produced and released an album and went on tour. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've written over 100 songs. I would love for you to hear that story. If you are not already subscribed, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that's Apple or Google or Stitcher. Just hit the subscribe button so that you get them every Monday. If you aren't already following me on Instagram, go to Feminine Will Podcast and follow so you know who's going up, a little bit more about them, and you can see what these people look like. I don't know what it is. I'm always so curious when I hear people on the radio. I'm like, what do they look like? And now you can find out. It's just such incredible women on this show. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you next week in an interview with Laurie Knowles, who is a 4-time Olympic trials runner for the marathon. It is pretty cool to hear her story. See you next Monday.